The start to game number 1 here between both Titans in Mindfreak and Crimson as the game of the phase so far starts to unfold. It's a best of 3 series, and we do have another game ready to jump into between both of these massive teams. Vandy, I mean, obviously there was a lot to talk about in that previous game, apart from, Shadow being a god on support, arguably the best support player in ANZ right now, and then Ryu flexing with some hooks, but not being able to find as many as he would like. We talk about the first pick and the map pick priority. And based on the history between these two teams, that has been pretty back and forth. We're coming into another lobby here where we see Towers of Doom, and it has been picked up here by Mindfreak, and they themselves have said, look, this is a map that we love to play on because we prefer that late game style of play. And traditionally speaking, this actually has been a very good map for them. So do you expect to see a complete 180 from what happened on Volsky?
Oh, definitely. It wasn't like a crushing defeat or anything. As I already said, Mindfreak, they were also just posturing and threatening for that win right there when they marched that Protector down into that bottom lane where they had level 20. And if it was a kill that they got right there, that would have really been the push that they needed to just go for the finish right there. But what happened was that their healer, Mad Hacks, was in the Protector right there. So Crimson, seeing that, they saw an opportunity to get those kills, and they got them very, very cleanly before they warped on out. And that really just stalled the game enough for them so that they could make a comeback. But otherwise, if Mindfreak had just managed to just stay back, play a little bit safe, and really utilize the Protector a little bit more, could have been a totally different story.
Yeah, it could have definitely been a very different story. With the level 20 advantage being there for them, they were threatening to go for the core. And, that's a fantastic
huge advantage.
It's a fantastic execution that a team knows to operate within, the same way as when you're locked in place with Dragonshy, to say, look, let's just try and force a fight right now whilst somebody with high impact cannot do anything. And they definitely bit the bullet and created an opportunity out of thin air.
Exactly right. But Towers of Doom, so the first ban, Grell, so she's been taken out. As you said, Skimmy, even though she's been finding some play, her win rate's not as great, teams are still finding her a threat, especially now because everyone's been jumping aboard. They're starting to see where she slots into a team. And some are really just saying she is that new dominant solo and the one to beat. So if you've got a map where you have to have that strong solo, say with Towers of Doom, she's really going to be a strong pick. So why not take her out?
I feel like Urel's in a spot right now where there is, obviously there's going to be some strong maps for her, but I feel like she can just be drafted on any map into any composition. She is just absurdly strong, and there's 3 go-to builds, which you can spec into, which generally sort of start to spin around at level 7. You got the instant mounts, the extra movement speed, or the Donkey Kong bounce around with Avenging Wrath. It's ridiculous.
Bouncy.
Just how strong she is. And there is no go-to solo line that can actually just shut her down. You can make an argument potentially for Malfael or Liark, but even then, she'll command so much pressure that if you, say, for example, go to Harkit, one, she'll smash you, and if you brush stalk her down, she'll smash you twice as hard. So it's a situation where it seems like we just don't want to verse it, play quote-unquote standard.
Play standard, and also she just commits so much resources from your teams to be trying to take her out, especially when she unlocks her heroic, which you can utilize in 2 different ways. And it just comes down to, just her diversity and also the strength of just, she can be so tanky and just get in your face that dive. Muradin, speaking of dive, being first picked up now by Crimson. So the tables have already turned. They're taking away what the pick that Mindfreak started with.
Started to be a bit of an adaptation, especially in ANZ anyway, where we are veering away from the ideas of a Maiev, Genji, or Malfurion first pick. And that's going to be echoed in the 2-3 pick here for the side of Mindfreak, going for the Blaze and going for the Phoenix. Comfort picks for the boys in blue. Interesting, actually, when we look back at when they last played this map, Diablo was taken away. So Mindfreak banned that one, and they weren't wanting to have to deal with any kind of shenanigans because they were drafting a lot of Tracer and a lot of Genji at the time. Diablo shuts that down incredibly, has the ability to obviously collide with the walls and do all kind of crazy shenanigans. So it's interesting to see how a lot of those picks back then still remain true and relevant today. But KVA actually back then, he played KVA. He played Muradin. They lost last time. He did play KVA, but he played Muradin last time. And last time they actually lost on this map. So Mindfreak, it's their map. It's their choice. They won it last time. Can they repeat themselves? I'm getting a little bit distracted. I'll be quite honest, Vandy, because chat is so damn spicy right now. There's a smile on my face. It's making me mutter my words. Come on.
It's fine. I was just thinking of KVA just playing himself, like Sim style. So I'm like,
absolutely.
Power rush and everything. Tracer being opted here and tested. At one point I was going to bring up was that before this next ban phase came in, did they want the Chromie? We know she works quite well, say, on Towers of Doom. Hacky loves playing that hero, but then if he did opt to go for the Chromie, that left the Tracer then open for Mindfreak. So I think they were weighing it up and then being like, nah, we want the Tracer. She's also a nice counter to Phoenix, really just being able to get in there and put a lot of pressure on him, especially now that she's going to be boosted up by that Tacita.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to be Azure this time playing the Tracer. With Tesla being locked in, Haki has been the one to adapt in that role. When we've seen them draft an ABBA for Tracer comp, though, that's when the roles get reversed. So it's quite cool to know that you've got two very proficient players on that Tracer. And actually speaking to some players at LAN, obviously we play online with ping issues, and there's been a bit of banter online with some of the American teams about how like lags affected them. But playing some of these heroes on a LAN environment where there is zero ping, once again, actually changes the meta. It's a case of I can dodge skill shots, or I can do things like, say, for example, blink out of a pyroblast and just clip it. It's interesting just how much of a role ping does players. So Haka does get taken off. Yeah.
You could just try and deflect a pyroblast and just hit you in the face.
I don't want to roast you on stream, Vanny. I'm a good person like that.
I'll self-roast myself. Second ban phase now at the Haka, so taking away that global pressure because they already have their solo laner in the Blaze, just making sure that it doesn't really bolster what Crimson are trying to do. Also will pair quite nicely with the Muradin, give them another front line. So no real surprises right there. This second ban now coming out of Crimson, this is where it gets a little bit more interesting. I'm wondering, what do they want to focus on? What do they want to target? Is it going to be more damage, which I feel like it's leaning towards? But when you look at Vanilla's hero pool, really, he's very, very versatile. He's played, you were talking about how Haki has played almost a different hero. It's been the same case for Vanilla. He's just quite proficient on a lot of assassins, so you can't really target, pick him out or ban him out. It comes down to, what do we think will work well against us? So the Cassia with the blinds is what they've actually opted for here. It makes sense because they're running the Tracer. It's just a bit of an interesting one because I believe it's only John who's really whipped that one out.
Yeah, John only whipped out Cassia one time at last phase with a 100% track record to his name with that. So it's a interesting adaptation. It was either that or the Johanna, but Johanna on this map doesn't really have as much love as opposed to, say, Tomb of the Spider Queen or something very focused on the wave clear. Obviously, wave clear is important to try and control those shrines and push and find advantages in other lanes, especially when you get those pumpkin sappers. But I feel like they've got to be a lot more concerned about, say, dive-heavy heroes. I'm still thinking Tracer is scared of, say, Diablo and Nubrak, anybody that can come up to you, or even potentially a Garrosh, but it falls into the same trap. Just anything that can shut down this Tracer, and Cassia with those blinds, as well as the reduction on all those auto attacks, is definitely a good one to consider.
It just also becomes harder for the Tracer as well, as you said, to find those opportunities. However, we do have the Tacita, so as I said, it's not just Tracer by herself. She will be a little bit more embodied, similar to how when we saw the Vala, she'd always go with the Tacita to patch up her weaknesses. We do have that going. Now, this is very interesting for me. So Mindfreak have actually taken away the two picks that I felt was really just defining the team fights coming out of Volskaya Foundry, the Thrall and Phoenix combination. Because we know if you have the salvo, the slow, the damage, if you've got the slow going on, the damage is pretty much doubled.
That's it. We saw a fantastic demonstration of that just before. They have opted to go with the Karazim as their DPS choice, which is usually a go-to counter towards Tracer. Obviously, with all those dashes, especially amplified at level 7, where you can just hop, skip, and bounce and get in Tracer's face and apply some pressure. When it comes to level 10, a little bit harder to try and understand where they might go. We've seen teams go for 7-sided strike, or if they are feeling a little bit more passive and quite reliant on the Phoenix amplification from those slows, they may just stick with the Palm. But I feel like it's going to definitely come to that final pick which dictates it. Because if they have like a taunt heavy support like Garrosh or Varian, yeah, definitely 7-sided strike will lock them in place, and that's the one shot. But I have to wait and see how this draft fully functions. As Sonya and Malfurion round things out, it's the dream for Tracer and a strong raw upfront bruiser in Sonya.
It gives them a lot more of that reinforced front line that they were looking to have. You really do need that when you have a Tracer. It just will create opportunities that she can then use to just focus that backline when everyone's trying to go in on the tanks. And also, Sonya, that wave clear in that solo or in any lane, really, it just really helps make her that immovable force. And to round things off, that Diablo you kept hinting around time and time again, Skimmy, that's going to be Fat 94 playing that one. And also, just, again, another good adaptation. It makes sense with what you're versing.
Well, this, like I said, this was really the pick that defined the drafting in Brazil. They were consistently banning it away because both of these teams have such a big affinity for playing the Tracer and that Genji, and Diablo shuts all of that down. And I suppose now with this new reworked form, given that Lightning Breath is the go-to and it has that slow component, hang on a minute, John does even more damage now, Vandy, so they don't need to rely on a Blaze with the Oil Spill, or they don't need to rely on a Thrall for his Earthquake. They've now got the Lightning Breath on top of all that. So there is still a world in which we see 7-sided strike, but I'm a bit conflicted still at this stage.
you just don't need it as much unless you need that get out jail free card. So I guess Mad Hacks is going to be really just kind of testing how it goes, seeing if his team members are getting blown up, if they're getting dangerously low, and then either offer it. But I feel like, yes, we see limited value for it, but 7-side strike is still the go-to heroic. I think just because of that ability, as I said, if you are in trouble, it's almost like that ice block. It puts you in a stasis. You can't be targeted for those short seconds, and that's sometimes all you need to win the team fight.
Let's jump into it. It's game number 2 with Crimson currently leading this best of 3, 1-0. We're going to Towers of Doom, brought to you by McDonald's Australia. Kick it off with the team in blue. None other than ANZ's finest. It's Vanilla playing Frau, Fat 94 on Diablo, John playing Phoenix, Mad Hacks on Karazim, and Ryu on Blaze.
On the red side, on the right-hand side, we have Jesmez playing Sonya, Shadow playing Malfurion, Azure on Tracer, Hacky on Tassadar, and KVA playing Muradin. That's Team Crimson.
So already, the same adaptation in level 1 for both the Phoenix and the Muradin, going for the Stormbolt quest for extra damage, extra lockdown, as well as the Arsenal synergy for Phoenix, looking to get some splash damage and get some control.
I feel like more and more that I've seen Phoenix builds go out, they have really been opting for that Arsenal synergy because it really just bolsters their team fight damage more so, and it's more reliable. So I've really just been seeing time and time again now this being the go-to choice.
I mean, it does require a little bit of extra finesse and your ability to, because obviously it has a sound communication. So first of all, you need to have your sound turned on if you don't already.
I don't know who's playing with this.
I know some players. I'm not naming names. I know some people that play in silence, unless like the Hark is in the game, which is a bit of a meme. But you know, you need to have your sound on to hear that initiation after those free auto attacks that come across, and then bam, that is more value. It requires more effort. And speaking of effort, there's a lot happening right here in this choke with the pulse bomb landing and
So
Phoenix
clean.
evaporating.
Azure absolutely stunningly clean with that Vanilla now next to go down, and Azure just showing why he's got such an affinity for that Tracer. As soon as it was up, laying that pulse bomb and then blinking away just on this a sliver of health. And that's really just ballsy Tracer players just going out right there. We know how squishy it is. It just takes one skill shot to land on you, or just one ability, and you would have been taken out. But just wonderful to see, really. This man and his Tracer, it's good stuff.
He loves that hero, that's for sure. As one of the arguably strongest heroes actually in this early game, has the pulse bomb unlocked at level 1, so can afford to make plays like such. And you saw KV jumping in deep, saying, I've got a Stormbolt, and do you have some follow-up? Yes, you do, and a double kill will do quite nicely. I mean, generally speaking, as a Diablo player, you want to try and avoid these team fights. You're quite weak, as you need to acquire as many soul stacks as possible. But especially with this rework now, and after a few of those Hellfire talents get unlocked, he's not as punished anymore for losing those stacks, as he has a lot of sustain built in with the life leech.
That's right, Skimmy, but he still does have that innate weakness. And now with this first Sapper camp being taken out, Mindfreak had to push it out and really clear it. That allowed Crimson to then get the second Sapper camp. And this time they scored it successfully in, so they actually get some experience for their troubles as well.
Level 4's now unlocked. Target acquired for Phoenix. This is my favorite talent, especially if you have the dream comp like this. Every auto attack gives you a bit of movement speed. And that is going to definitely come in clutch when John gets dived upon somebody so mobile like a Tracer. As that warp may not just be enough, and as we saw before.
It just really helps in terms of patching up some of that innate weakness that Phoenix might have. So the ability to do so, have that extra movement speed, just makes you so much more easy able to reposition. And like I said, just good adaptation right there coming on out. This first Alter Phase will be spawning. And this one, I mean, a lot of teams, they almost fight to the death for ones like these. But if you don't have an advantage, it's okay to let them go. As you were already saying, Towers of Doom, it's much more focused around that late game. Mid to late game is where things really start to heat up.
Generally speaking, there's always a bit of a gentleman's agreement with those two altars up in the top lane. Both Blaze and Sonya picking those up, uncontested. Whereas the rest of the team all sit around here for that mid-shrine, looking to find another pick once again. And, you know, Azure has to be very careful in choke spots like this, because Fat 94 can do things like that. Shadow charge into a wall. There's the CC, there's the stun. Who can I kill? It may be none. A bit of poetic justice right there as Azure jumps in, finds Mad Hacks with the pulse bomb, drops into half. And sustain is good, but it might not be enough as John once again bearing the brunt of the Stormbolt, Vandy.
He had the warp up ready to go, however, so that does save him from the death. However, Crimson, they've done enough to successfully bully. No! Ryu just with the last minute stall there, but he might pay for it with his life.
He doesn't indeed. He's tanky in that little bunker shell. Pre-10 anyway. But the splash damage is starting to show as John turns that repeater cannon on. Still, both teams don't have any real clear advantage to be able to capture this. And they are playing with fire and lightning, apparently, as we see those animations go off on the floor.
Ryu's done enough by not losing right there, not losing his life to the pulse bomb. He managed to do enough stall, and Crimson just forced to back away just to reset a little bit. Now this is going to be phase 2 of the fight going on right here. Fat94 gets the bully off. Vanilla interrupted by Jesmus. Neither team taking an inch just yet. Looking for an opportunity still.
I mean, from a sustaining element, Crimson definitely have it. They will definitely shine above what Madhex is able to outpay here from the Karazim, opposed from the self-sustain that the Bruisers and Warriors have on their own. As another engage comes across, that's going to be the pulse bomb this time onto Vanilla. Azure is still diving deep. He gets a jet propulsion to the face, and this time does get caught out. Don't know if he had the recall available, but anyway, I say he was so stun-locked that there would have been a chance anyway.
I'm just surprised because he used it quite early, felt very, very threatened, and that was a big cooldown blowout that I actually just wanted to mention, but didn't matter. You can see there he just stayed a little bit too long trying to take down Vanilla, and that was finally Mindfreak's opportunity to blow him up. As you said, stun locked for days, and now Mindfreak, they can take their own Sapper camp and start to escort it in. Level 7 has been acquired as well, so they do get that extra talent, but, I mean, Crimson, they just need to sneeze on a minion and they'll get it. There it is.
That's the blinding speed at level 7 for Karazim, so the extra dash, the reduced cooldown. So keep an eye on how Madhex positions himself, especially to try and target Azure like we saw before. As Diablo here actually has gone for a different build. I was expecting the Hellfire Flame, but he's opted for Shadow Charge into auto attack, so we might see Swipe or No Swiping coming unlocked a little bit later with the attack speed boost.
It's a bit hybrid, isn't it, with Fat94's build right there. KBA. Just diving in, just playing a little bit aggressive, just really just try and bully them off. Ryu, he's just happily soaking in that middle lane, just trying to get as much experience possible.
So a bit of a lull in this map as the Sapper camp is available once again for Crimson to transition towards. A half-level lead when the dust settles has been picked up here by Mindfreak as Sonya regroups, goes back to the top lane. Off to take Blaze to try and get some XP soak before this next altar spawns, and it'll be one at that same place, same time. It's up in 20 seconds, Vandy.
Mindfreak already first to start setting up around it. And also just clearing ways. They want to try and get a rotation right here. There's the wall slap right there into Azure. He's managed just to blink away.
Really following in hot pursuit, literally, but unable to find the kill. But quite honestly, they can actually play this one quite slow. If we do see the same kind of pace, by the time they do finally go towards this, they'll have level 10, and it's looking quite uncontested so far. Crimson's KVA does not even stop it, and Madhex says, thank you very much.
Thanks for the free cap. Exactly like you said, they were just a little bit slow on their rotations right there. Mindfreak managed to do enough. They can also clear out the sappers for free in the bot lane, so Crimson, they're just a little bit on the back foot now. Just need to catch up on that experience because 10 is looming hard now for Mindfreak.
And they are starting to get strong. As Diablo has all of his stacks, he has 100 souls to his name, so he's an absolute monster with that health steroid. And what are they going to do? They're going to abuse the fact that they have those ultimates, like they did on Volskaya Foundry, and push hard. They're going to go straight towards that bell tower in the bottom lane. Definitely the best lane to control based on the fact that there are 2 mercenary camps to work with. But they may be forced to back away with a timely shield from Tassadar, and the advancements from the other members of Crimson allows them to get 10 as well.
They managed to get 10, and they held onto their bell tower, which is very, very important because it sets you back in terms of buying so much time to retake it, and it would have given Mindfreak a huge advantage into this one. However, not deterred, they still get the Sapper camp, so they will be pressuring that bottom lane still.
And it is going to be the 7-sided strike, Vandy, so they are going to go for the aggressive option, which I like. I was still erring on the side of caution. I was saying, you know, if they have a strong initiation tank that can lock somebody in place, I think that would be the go-to. And we've always known Mindfreak to be aggressive, not play the sort of more passive, patient style of play. As Shadow Charge goes across, looking to lock in place KVA. Unable to find any collapsing target just yet. Another ult will be spawning in 10 seconds, and both teams are postured quite nicely for it.
Looking for that fight. Jesmes, he starts it off. Lightning Breath coming out, and the salvo locks on. That's going to be Shadow taken out.
No ice block and no chance to survive in that one as 2 members of Crimson fall on down. Lightning Breath is all it takes. Oh, but Fro falls before he can even get himself into that bunker. But are they going to find another one? They're going for that plasma cut. They're going for the 7-sided. and they are destroying members from Crimson, saying, our map, our rules, our way. Quad kill. It's time to play.
A good wrap right there, Skimmy, but also you got to remember this was pretty close to Crimson's draft last game as well. So not only that, they have taken pretty much the bare bones of the way that we saw Crimson utilize that draft. It's all centering around bolstering that Phoenix, and then Mindfreak just utilizing it for themselves. It's just very, very quick adaptation from one game to the next.
So much like the lead that Mindfreak were able to achieve before, they are going to hit level 13 first. And will do their darn best to try and push these sappers across the line for an extra 3 shots. Smashing it when it comes to the overall core health with 36 to their name and 22 to Crimson's. As KBA gets dropped down very low. Does use that Dwarven Toss to get some armor, but escapes from 400. But some of those pumpkins did go across. I think, actually no, all of them did. Down to 19 now.
Yep, those pumpkins, they've constantly been escorted in, and Mindfreak, they're just very, very dominant on this map so far now, Skimmy. They just managed to win that one team fight, but already, for their efforts, they've given themselves that talent tier advantage. And by holding this bottom lane hostage, as you say, every time their sappers are up, there's just going to be more pressure coming down now.
Well, a power spike at level 13 for Diablo now makes sense. And what we saw him take at level 4, if you stun somebody, they take extra damage. So we've seen him do it all game long without any kind of discrimination as to who he does it against. He's just looking to bash you into a wall, looking to knock your head in, as they say down under, and teach her a wee lesson. Look, we are the champions of ANZ. We're not going to let you forget about that one. Yes, we've changed roles. Yes, we've changed players. But we are still the same team. So, next order phase does spawn. It's up in 10 seconds. Crimson should have level 13 by then. And they took a bit of time to try and contest in Volskaya, but as you mentioned, Vanny, a map like Towers, it caters to the late game, and they definitely excel when it came to that late game.
They did. Mad Hacks has already begun the channel now. KVA, he doesn't get the Stormbolt for the interrupt, but Hacky right there with the Side Storm. Bottom lane has been capped. Also Sapper pressure down in that bottom lane. That's 5 shots.
More shots and more chance to try and survive in this one as John gets locked in place. Lightning Breath is doing a lot of work in that one big choke spot. They're going to go for the Earthquake as well as the 7-sided strike as multiple members are getting dropped on down low. That's going to be the salvo to 1-for-1 trade. Tracer, Sonya, Phoenix, all taken off the board. It does still favor Mindfreak. We're quite happy with how things have worked on out here, but every ultimate had to be burnt. And Madhax in the backline, he's the support. He knows his team is safe. He just picks that one up for free.
Yep, he's just ready to just assist his team when necessary, but also by capping that point, it's now safe. Another 5 shots go to the core. There's only 6 shots left, Skimmy. And this is disastrous now for Crimson. What looked so good at the beginning, you can already start to see the cracks starting to appear once heroics were unlocked on the side of Mindfreak.
Yeah, now you put yourself in a very scary situation where if these sappers go across the line, it's boss and GG. And if you are waiting to try and hit some form of power spike late game, you may just never see this one. This was their map pick. It's what Mindfreak wanted to get themselves back into this best of 3 series, and there's a damn good reason why this is their favorite map.
You know, see how dominant they are performing on it right there. But I remember also chatting to Tat94 as well, and he said there's just some maps where, honestly, it's better to be the second pick. Yeah, you lose out on that one meta pick, but by getting the first and second pick together, that synergy, you can really set yourself up better for the rest of the draft, and that's pretty much what Mindfreak has done as well.
At least with level 13 unlocked now, the Shadow will have that ice block to try and prevent death that had really crushed him beforehand. But they do always have that comeback potential. We talk about it for Stitches. Definitely same analogy applies here with Crimson and their Wombo combo style of play. Looking to execute within a Twilight or looking to execute based off a Stormbolt, much like they did in the early game. And KVA jumps in and he does connect with that Stormbolt, but instantly gets met with a Shadow Charge. Twilight Dream is good, on towards 3 as they back on out. Pulse Bomb is there. The 7-sided is immaculate, keeping Mad Hacks alive. And the Lightning Breath turnaround, the collapse, the level 1 talent advantage, the Arsenal synergy from Phoenix doing an incredible splash and single-handedly allowing them to force Crimson to retreat, but picking up a kill in the process. Abusing the fact they have level 16 as well. And Vanny, quite honestly, with a triple phase like this, it's looking like GG.
GG, well played. Thanks for coming. I guess that's what Mindfreak would be saying right there. Very dominant performance. Only 4 shots to their core right here. And they almost caught that break that they needed for Crimson in that last sort of fight right there. But that 7-sided strike scheme, and that's why I said it, even though, yes, we see Palm being the go-to choice sometimes, to just have that get out of jail free card right there, that just turned the fight completely around for Mindfreak.
Well, we have a series on our hand right now, Vandy. We are tied up 1 apiece in this best-of-3 series between the Titans in ANZ. And I mentioned at the very start of this series, how much are we going to really see come out from these teams? Are we going to see them really start to reveal everything to try and secure that first and second seed spot? Or are we going to see, a bit more of a sort of downplayed style? Let's just play our classics. Let's just play sort of standard style of compositions and keep all that prep ready and undiscovered for when it really matters. Because, both of these teams, as it's been so far, have shown a massive degree of confidence. And that confidence is backed up based on their results, which should mean that if this carries on, if the momentum is still there, they will make it to that Sydney LAN.
They will indeed, Skimmy. But also one thing I think for this next game coming up, it's all going to be around this Phoenix, whether he's banned out or who gets to have him, because that sets up the rest of the draft. So far, we've seen both teams execute a very similar style of play where it's all about amping how much damage he can output. Is he going to be let through the ban phase? That's what I'm really interested to see in game number 3. Don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to go for a short break and we'll be right back.